Good evening again. I know you all missed us, right? Because we missed you. But we're back and we're still trying to explore purpose and discuss what your life means. Our goal is to help people understand, to help people understand that you aren't just birthed without purpose. You aren't birthed without intent. You aren't birthed without gifts, talents, and abilities. And once you get that, it's a life changer. I can tell you that for sure. That's what I've walked in, and that's what the people around me walked in. Now we have an exciting guest here. We're gonna try to, keep it non-political, but it's hard to do that. It's hard to be apolitical when a lot of her work has been in those arenas. She's I call her 100% fan of education. I call her a person who shows up to do what she needs to do, how she needs to do it, no matter how long and how often she needs to do it. Is that fair? Yes. And I'm going to because I call her Tony. So I want her to introduce herself, and she has such a long list of accomplishments that I want her to highlight what she wants us to know about. Is that fair? Okay, so take it over. Tell us about yourself.
So my name is Antoinette Cousins, but Morgan Cousins. But my mom, I will always say that I don't go by Antoinette because that's often when I'm in trouble as a child. I would hear Antoinette, and that's only if I was in trouble. So what a lot of people don't know is I changed my name when I got into middle school because everyone in the neighborhood would call me Net. But when I got in middle school, I would be taunted at the name Net, like this net around me, this net around me. So I like the name Tony. So I changed my name to Tony. And when I would come home and people would call the house, they were like, Tony, and my mom was like, who is Tony? I'm like, that's me. She was like, that's right. I didn't even know that. So I changed my name. Grew up, born and raised in the north part of the city. I was a trouble kid. A lot of people didn't know that either, but grew up in Walnut Park. Oftentimes gave my mom trouble always. I was the kid out of three that she was worried about. She didn't know what I was going to do or who I was going to be. Yeah, I was that challenge for her. But as I grew up, I didn't know what or who I wanted to be or what I was going to be, but someone actually did, and I was kind of told. So through life, I've gone through many things. I started off working at an organization called Caring Communities. From Caring Communities, I found myself helping people from Caring Communities. I worked for Riverview West Florissant.
Let me say this. I'm just say this real quick. So she is a legacy child. Because anybody that knows anything about St. Louis, right, has heard of Caring Communities, and we know at least one of the power brokers behind Caring Communities.
Yes. Yes.
So it would make sense that her heart and her passion would be for community. I didn't want to miss that opportunity to just kind of.
So Caring Communities, I was the first in my family to go to college. There was no way I was supposed to go to college. I was the last one in my family that anybody thought would be going to college.
That's how it happens though, that's what I did.
But I was the first. Yeah. So I was the first one in my family to go away to college. I came back, and when I came back, Caring Communities, Gary Hayes, who ended up being my godfather, my mom, she was always that community engaged person. Right. She did so much for the community. He said, I can get her hired.
So can I take you back to something else? Okay. my memories are coming back. Okay, so you said you were the first to go to college, and I was the first in my family. My sister went for a year, but I was the first to go full time and move away. It was a carpenter, but still moved away. How can you reflect on anything that happened in those 4 years that has? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. How did that help propel you forward, or how did that help? Gain a characteristic that you might have?
So much.
Does that make sense?
So much happened. The stories. So before I went to college, I was a part of the DSEC program.
Right.
So I did go to St. Louis Public School first, from kindergarten, preschool, all the way to 8th grade. I graduated from 8th grade at Ames middle or elementary school, and I went on to high school. So high school was a completely different exposure for me. I went from growing up in the city to going out, exposed to a whole different element. I was growing up taught to be hard, this was tough or what have you. So I go to this high school, learned a whole different environment. 90% of the people out there didn't look like me. None of the teachers were me. We had one counselor that was like us, but none of the teachers.
That was in the early stages.
That was the early stages of it.
Yeah.
But this one teacher prophesied it on me, and I didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "You're going to help people. In life, your job is going to be to help people." I was like, "No, it's not. I want to be. I want to beat them up. I want to be a fashion merchandise. I want to beat up these people. I want to do this. I want to do that." She was like, "No, that's not what you're going to do." So I go to college. My first year in college, my mentality is rough, hard. It's survival skills. I'm learning how to survive. I'm ready. You know, don't look at me. You look at me like this is what I was taught. Someone else from the neighborhood was there, and he took me in like a sister.
So I want to expand on that because I have never. I mean, I know that you have to have a certain amount of a tough persona, you know, to pretend to be. But I've never ever thought about that.
Yep.
Because I went to Metro.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate, you know. But I was just Nina. I was able to be nerdy. I was able to be whoever I was. I never thought about that switch. How do you think that switch prepared you for what you're doing now?
It completely prepared me. I mean, it transformed me because once I got to college, there was certain seeds that was placed in my space that was telling me, this ain't who you have to be. Like, you don't have to, the streets, you don't have to take that mentality. And if you continue to do that, you're not going to make it out.
Say that again, please.
If you continue to think, you know, this is the life that you have to, like the hard life and being hard, the streets, you know, trying to hustle or whatever, that if you think that is what it's going to take for you to succeed, you're not going to make it.
That's golden.
I mean, and it took me a year to really understand what they meant by that. And this, a lot of people didn't know, was during the Rodney King situation.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so now the riots has taken place. We're in school. So, hey, it's supposed to be riots.
Because you don't want to be selling. I mean, you don't want to look like the person who's sitting on the fence while everybody else is saving the world.
Who the first person to get kicked out? Well, no, why? Because we out here on our Black Power. So we get kicked out every day, pointing us out. You gotta go. Yes.
Oh no.
So I get kicked out, didn't tell my mom. She ready to pack me up, you know.
See, I know you were a renegade. I remember that.
Like, it's time, you know, come on, it's time for you to go back to school. I was like, I gotta tell you something. I was like, I can't go back. So my mom, the mom she is, packed me up, went down, talked to the dean, and he was like, you know, college is not for everybody. And she said, but it's for her.
Right.
And she pretty much demanded him to put me back in school.
I believe that.
That taught me again how to fight. You know, fight for the people, fight for what's right. So by then I started getting into leadership programs. I mean, we transformed, even though we were at Central Missouri State, 90%, you know, Caucasian school. We had a large African-American, you know, base that was there. We changed the game. I mean, to this day, we still have scholarships that we started for Central Missouri State. We brought tenure. We have the Black professors there get their tenure. Like, we really transformed it. And all of this was things that I taught. So me starting to work for current communities, it was a
natural progression.
Yep.
Okay. See, I knew that you didn't follow in her footsteps, but you made footsteps that were, you know, exemplary purpose.
Yes. Right? So she was the base for me, because she was always, as a child, I was always seeing her be that community person. She was the block units, the beautification. Like, she always, I saw that as a child. Right. And I was able to carry that to the next level. So my undergrad ended up being in social work. I graduated, I started doing current communities. I really started working for the people, believing and seeing what I was able to do, to the point where they called me Miss Current Communities. Because I'm like, no, we could do this. We would do drug marches, and I want to be secure.
You remember the marches that you guys did? I think they started in drug marches. And all the
I'm security. I'm telling them I'm security. And they like, no, me and the guys do security. And I'm like, I'm doing security. They was like, Tony, get back in the line. I was like, I'm security. So I demanded. And I ended up in security.
That's funny.
So you.
Okay. So we're going to take a break for a minute, just because this is just really good stuff. We make sure we don't miss anything, and I want to make sure that we're still on point. And we'll be back shortly. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I have some questions. Just I want to segue a little bit. I have some questions for you. I pick one, and then you're able to pick the next one, and I want you to respond to them. Okay. Let's see. What is one goal you're working on that aligns with an idea or notion of something greater than yourself, and how will it impact others if you meet this goal? I know.
One goal.
Yeah. One goal that you're working on that aligns with an ideal or notion of something great. I'm really a strong purpose individual, because I think that understanding my purpose, or some of my purpose, changed my life. So that's why we're saying, what is that one goal?
One goal that I've really tried to work on. I think even just hearing the story that I've given about myself. Right. One of the biggest things that I've worked so hard on is the old tone, the net.
I remember that.
As I talked about the net that I was, and who, the challenge that I gave, that I put my mom through. Yeah. And I worked on that, not being that person. Sometimes a lot of what I've gone through and me wanting to help and change people, not change people, but help people, and seeing that net in people in the younger generation.
Okay, but I want to ask you something, because I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm a journalist by nature.
Yeah, I like it.
You said that you want to extinguish that net. Are there things in that net, though, that you're using to help with your newfound identity?
It is, but I had to work on that net.
Okay, good.
And working on that net, created tone.
Good.
And working on that net, I see net in the younger generations, in the younger youth.
And you brought some of that with you,
that I have to say, I know where you are, I know who you are, and let me guide you and show you, how to grow from that.
So I know with me, I still have the little Nina, right? The insecure, the things that I did not want in my life. I still have that. But it also helps.
That's
what I'm saying. It also helps.
Yeah.
And I still have some of that in my book.
Yes.
I try to control it a little bit. Triggers. But I took it with me. So I hope it improved me. And so I guess what I'm at, did you take some of that with you?
I did.
Because we don't want kids to think everything in you is wrong.
I took the good sides, and I don't want to say wrong, and I don't want to say the good, the bad. I took the productive, but I monitored and started watching and understanding the angry.
That's good. Say that again.
I understood the angry, like why was I so angry? And oftentimes we are angry all the time. We are hurt, we're angry, and we don't understand the why. And if you don't understand the why, you continue to be stuck in that space.
Which is why we talk about purpose a lot.
Which is why you talk about
your
purpose.
why is not everybody else's why.
There you go. And my why helps me to understand others.
That's rich.
And that helps me to help others, you know, and that's my goal. So even through all the challenges that I'm in, even all the obstacles, you know, all the attacks that I'm constantly faced with, that's what I always ask myself. What is my why?
Right. Exactly.
And how do I use that to help, you know, like those that I'm supposed to help? And a lot of people are like, oh, Tony, I just, you know, I feel so sorry for you. I don't, because I'm not doing this.
You know what you're supposed to be doing in the
Because
space that you're supposed to do.
I know I'm a servant.
Absolutely.
Like I had to understand that, and I did. Like as a person from the hood, I say I didn't understand and know what that means, but it took me back to that person who told me, they prophesied on me, like, no, you're going to help people. That stuck with me like 20, 30 years ago. I didn't understand what that meant, but I totally get it now.
And one of the things I think that I believe that that's been kind of my mantra is I'm doing what I'm doing now. That does not mean I'll be doing what I'm doing later, but that also does not mean that those two things are connected to purpose. Because purpose doesn't look the same every year, every century. You know what I mean? So that I think that's freeing, what you said, but I also think it's really freeing to say you are allowed to be angry.
Yes,
it's how you manage that anger.
How you do.
So that's beautiful.
Yes.
The way you said that, because we want to fix people.
Yeah,
and get rid of anger.
No.
Anger
it's
can
okay.
be projected.
It's okay. And that's what I had to learn.
Yep.
It's okay, and it's how you deal with it.
There's a movie out, It's Okay Not to Be Okay.
Exactly.
Right. But the journey is to be okay enough to do what you're purposed to do. Yeah. I think it's
and to understand it.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
You know, most people don't understand it because they run from it.
Right.
That's where you're challenged with.
And I think that's what especially with young adult ministry, when you say purpose, they're like, but once they understand, once you're able to say that's your special gift, this is where you shine. When you speak in public, you nail it. When you design something, you nail it. When you know what I mean. So that's why I've always been very heavy on purpose. Not that everything has to fit in that little box called purpose, but that's where you shine. That's where you go. That's where you give the most.
Yes.
And that's what you're talking about. You're saying this is my comfort zone. This is what it comes naturally. You wake up.
It does.
And you go to bed.
Yep.
So tell me how knowing. Oh, we'll get back to that. Tell me how having an inkling of your purpose and not understanding what it entails and being willing to flow and grow with it has changed your outcomes and your productivity. Does that make sense?
It's changed.
Or even how you think about it.
Honestly, it can become lonely sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it could become foggy.
Right, absolutely.
Because you start questioning yourself and you're not understanding, you know, what is surrounding you. You're being challenged.
Right.
Well, I found myself being challenged, like, what am I doing? Like you know, or you believe what you're doing is the right thing, but you're constantly being tested.
And when you say you believe what you're doing is the right thing, it's a lonely journey.
It's a long
if you're really trying to do purpose.
It's a long
because you could be a trailblazer. Nobody has done it like you. Right? So you can't go and say, well, Susie did it that way. You know, I did it that way. So I guess I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. It can become lonely. You can second guess yourself, but you have to, and to me, I think that's where faith comes in.
Yes, yes.
That's where, and I mean, it's hard.
If you know your sweet spot, like I know, you know, when I shine. And the more I know it, the more people say, oh, you just did that.
Yes.
And so you get that confirmation.
Yes.
So you think, okay, I'm in my lane.
Yes.
You know, there's some things I have to do outside of my lane, but when I'm in my lane, I'm doing that thing. Right. And I can see that I'm not that much older, but I watched you growing up, and I watched Pamela Jr. doing her thing, and not with a vengeance, but in a very when you worked for yeah, I'll just say that when you worked for him,
Greg Carter.
Greg, I saw you
Work
doing
with him.
your thing. I saw you matriculating into this powerful woman. You know?
And I think with that, I was always, like you said, my purpose, I love being behind the scene. Like I've never had a desire to be in front. I've always wanted to, and that's what the growth, all of the things like.
So how are you handling it? I mean, obviously you're not behind it.
Hate it.
Let's just get that out there.
Never had a desire, but I had to understand
right.
That was not like, this is where I was to be. You know,
it's preparatory.
I have no desire. Like I was like, no, I don't want. That's not where I was. But it wasn't for me. It wasn't my decision. The more I didn't want it, the more I was put in. Like it was like your time. This is where you are to be. This is the place that you are positioned to be at this point in time. Absolutely. I've always been behind the scenes. I'm okay. I was okay with it.
I understand.
But it was like, no, this is where I have you to be.
And I think that's indicative of purpose, because I can't believe I'm sitting here now being recorded.
Exactly.
I can't believe it. I can't edit it. Just talking, because I was never an in front of the camera person.
Never did.
When my pastor said, you need to go, I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yes.
You know, I don't know how to preach a sermon. So I think the discomfort is a ingredient in purpose.
Yes.
Would you agree with that? The more discomfort, the more you're being primed, I guess, for what you're supposed to do.
And you never understand or know who's watching you.
Exactly. That's good. Yeah, that's true.
Who's watching you? Like I've said, my daughter.
I can't even think about that. Why'd you put that out there?
I'm just telling you, you never.
I don't even entertain who's watching me.
That are really watching you and that are really following you. So you have to be really careful and cautious, and that's that net that I don't want. Like that's the Tony I know I have to bring and keep intact.
But I'm going to suggest something to you about that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not I don't beat up people and stuff like that, but I am very clear when someone has either offended me or taken advantage. You know, working for the state of Missouri for all these years in Jeff City. So I remember several times following people out of the conference room, because I was the first female and Black individual on the director's team in the director's office, right? So I got a lot of hits. And I remember sometimes following somebody saying, if you ever, I'm like, you know, so I wasn't passive, but I do understand that that served me well, because other doors kept opening. That's how I got to where Clinton doors. You know what I'm saying? So some of that spice.
Yeah, not for me in the position
that well, your spice might be stronger than mine. Well, you know what?
And my spice wasn't what got me. You're right. Some of that spice was.
It shifts the atmosphere, is what I'm suggesting.
You're not going to disrespect me, but my spice was ensuring that I was protecting the people. And
it's kind of the same thing. Yeah. I mean, it was with me, because if you're the first, then absolutely, if you show up right, then they know they can show up right. Yes. So not everything was a battle, but I think sometimes,
most of the time,
you have to be able to say, that's not appropriate.
Exactly.
And if you don't do that, and you know what happened with that? I went across the street and I talked to some of the finance staffers. I knew campaign with their friends, and they said, if they're doing this to Nina, imagine what they're doing. So that's how. And so we're saying the same thing.
My mentor told me, if we send you you're the person. If you've been sent in a room, then you got the best. Then the deal is the best deal we're going to get, and that means a lot. Yes, so you know that you, Nina, are representing all of us. And so I had to know that Tony is short. We don't.
I mean, you don't have to be hellfire and marching and screaming.
You don't.
I just think it's the nature.
That's what I had to keep telling myself. It's how you present yourself and how you carry yourself.
But I'm probably not as, in retrospect, I probably wasn't as calm as I am now.
Yeah,
but
that's what
it's hard to be the first.
Yeah, which is why I think us love being behind the scene, because I really know this is what you do. This is what you tell me. This is how you do.
I hear what you're saying, but that's not it.
Right. But now being in front, it's kind of like, okay, you can't do that. So
good thing I'm retired. Because and the good thing about I think the journey sometimes is, I believe that I have been placed in positions where I could get away with it. Like Sandra Moore, you know.
Yes.
She didn't say, "Don't get out of my office."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I've always been kind of protected.
Yes.
Yeah, one of my shivos.
Yes.
Absolutely. I hope she doesn't mind that I mentioned her. Yeah.
Yes.
She raised me up pretty well.
Yes.
So, okay, good.
And that means a lot. Like what you just said, given that, dropping those names, like to me, I think that helped me a lot. Like it helped you a lot. Being able to go over the people that got us here. We're standing on their shoulders. Like, and now we're in the position where people are coming to us.
Absolutely.
And that's what means a lot and is missing a lot.
And see, I don't even think I realized.
Yes.
Like when they came to me and they said, "Hey, do you want to come?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's
Yes,
cool." I read this book.
yes, you don't.
I didn't realize the depth of
Yes, yes.
until you look at it overnight.
Yes.
So I think that too creates a desire in individuals to serve in that position.
That's right.
Say, I know what you could be because I didn't know what I could
Exactly.
be. Yep. Not that I'm on that, but you understand what I mean.
But no, you are.
At least I'm stable.
But you are. Yes.
I can't go to say.
I know she did.
Okay, so now I'm going to let you pick a question.
For me.
And if, that you want to respond to. And if there's something, if you don't, it's some on the other page too. If you don't find anything, then you can suggest your other question. And I forget to do this every time. So I want to give a shout out to the power behind the scenes, right? What's your name, Tim? Come on, they can hear you. Just introduce yourself. This is, I know it's not standard, but so what?
My name is Timothy Nelson, owner of Grace Photography STL.
And he's our videographer extraordinaire. And then who do we have over here? And that's what she's not only running Zoom, but she's smiling at us when we need a smile, and she's keeping us running. So who are you, lady?
Valerie Williams,
And we don't do it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
just Valerie Williams, working with the project in itself.
Right. We've been running around together a long time. We don't do everything traditionally. You know, if the spirit says say this or do this, I'm gonna do it. So shout out to you guys.
I'll go with 5.
Okay, good. What would you like your friends or others to remember most about you, and then tell us why?
I think what I hope people remember, and I know my friends know how passionate I am about the people, about the community, about my city, and how hard I've fought, and I will always fight for it. And because I guess my why is because I remember and will always remember from where I came from.
Right, absolutely.
And how it was always instilled on me to always go back, you know, and lift them up, you know, and fight for them as those that fought for me.
So I have a question about that because I feel that passionately about young adults. I was awkward, you know, I didn't think I was anything at all. So I feel that way about young adults. But I often find that it's challenging for me when we say us or we the movement, or, you know what I'm saying? Because I never saw myself in that population, if that makes sense. Like I had friends that didn't look like me. The neighbors were my best friends. We've been friends. We knew people that were German. We knew people from all right. So we were kind of raised like that, you know. And at the time when people were suffering, we were living on Newstead, right? And we were taking the kids on the block to Steak and Shake and stuff like that. My father was a teamster. So though we had hard times, I just felt like I'm on the outside looking in at some of that. We picketed and you understand what I'm saying? But in terms of individual, that's the challenge for me. How do you just continue to think collective? When there's somebody over there you really want to punch in the eye, or somebody over there that's really moving for themselves, or
It's hard. That's so, I love that you asked that, because that's the hardest part for me.
I feel better that you said that.
It is hard. Because all my life, I'm completely different from you. That's crazy because I started on the 42-45 league in Redbud. My mom was a single
really
mom.
Close. I think you had it.
My mom was a single mom for a while. People think that my dad, who we call dad, was always there, but he wasn't. He's our stepdad. But I knew what living hard was like.
Right.
You know, I was just shy of seriously like juvenile. Like I was that kid.
See, we only had one sibling that was that.
I
kid.
knew what poverty was, you know, we was like, I got it, I understood it. So I was always the seed was always planted, treat everybody the same.
Right.
A janitor, you know, is no different than the president.
Exactly.
You know, and the president is the same. Like I always had that spirit in me. So that's the biggest challenge for me right now.
Right.
It's just what you're saying. The generation that we're dealing with, somehow we've turned into being this group, this population that we're facing has become so self-serving that we've lost.
Have you been listening to me when I'm talking?
And it's hurt. Like I'm hurt, but I have hope. You know, and that's what keeps me going. Like,
I get that.
But the hardest thing for me is, I think my most challenging moments right now is I've always fought for so many people, and I don't have anybody fighting for me.
But you do, and I know what you're saying because I do that too. I feel that. You just don't feel that. You just don't know how deeply. You don't know how deeply I feel that. And that's why purpose is important.
Yes.
Because if you're in line with purpose, then you understand that people fighting down here for you does not measure
it does
for somebody else.
It doesn't. You know, and so that's what you keep. And so the book that I told you about, you know, years ago, you have to understand, you know, offended, you know, the devil's what is the book I told you to read?
Oh, I read all the time.
But that was one of the strongest books that I ever read about being offended. Like you have to understand.
Oh, yeah, it's I forgot
the bait of Satan.
Thank you.
Like
I told you to read
it has a meaning, you know, and you have to understand that. But so that's the part where I say sometimes you feel lonely, but you have to have faith.
You have to have that
and
faith.
hope,
be grounded
and believe that people understand it. But it's different when you're fighting for yourself.
It's hard. Yeah,
it's hard.
Even with young adults, people, you know, they'll share some of the stuff I've said to them. Say, what?
Yeah. Yes.
But I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
And I know that,
and I'm standing course.
Spiritually, that's who I am.
Yes.
And if I'm assigned, I must have been assigned because of that.
And that's what I want my friends and them to know. They can never say she has always fought for the people and for the community.
Right, absolutely. And you, I believe, have been selected to do that.
Yes.
You know, not that others haven't.
Yes.
But I think the older I get, the less I'm apologizing for my idiosyncrasies or whatever you want to call them, or for my sharpness of tongue. And like I told them, you all are young adults, I need to be sharp.
That's right.
Because you've been spoiled.
That's right.
A lot of you.
We don't owe you anything.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You've been spoiled. People have tried to appease you for the suffering that has come before. And sometimes you just need somebody to say, you need to do it.
Get it together.
And I'm not gonna put up with you being less than I know you can be. You know, I have to show up every day.
That's right.
The best I can show up.
And
so you need to learn how to do that. Right. So I think that's valuable. Yep. Absolutely. Wow. Yes. I already knew, you know. I already knew when I knew that when I was working with caring communities with your mom and you come along, I already knew, I saw it. Yep. You know, it's hard to be a person who has been raised with a gift, I'll call it, right? Yeah. A gift to position people so that they are independent and so that they do make better choices. Yep. And I think that's the hardest job in the world. It is. And so I'm not going to, I tell them all the time, Spirit tells me to say it the way I said. I'm not going to baby step you. I'm not going to coddle you. That's right. I don't want to be totally offensive, but I think it's an emergency. We have an emergency situation, and I can't say, oh, but baby, you should try. No, I can't say that. No. Because that's not working. So, and you can tell by the popularity of your work and what you do that people can handle the truth.
And they think I'm mean, but I'm not mean.
They say that, but they want you to say what you say to them.
Yes, because what I'm saying, everybody else is thinking it. I'm just the one that's like, listen, don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. And then I have with the gift that I have, you know, sometimes people say, you said that? And I say, and I believe, you know, if I'm not, I'm in trouble, but I say it exactly how I hear it.
Yes.
Because some situations are emergency,
Mhm.
and I don't have time
That's
to
true.
call.
I like that. I'm not thinking that. Some situations are emergency.
They are.
You need to hear this.
You can't put a
now.
Band-Aid on it.
No,
You
no,
know,
that's
you have to stitch it up and sew it up and do all that,
that's
so
right.
you have to show up as you're supposed to.
That's right.
Good job. So what's in store? What are your, you don't have to reveal all of this stuff. but what are your sights
now,
set on? And not immediate, just.
Well, right now, I know that I'm being moved to go back to the basics, back to what I was doing, implementing, creating the programs from the community from which I was from, going back to building more homes and working with businesses. 20 years ago, I was part of building like 100 and some homes within the North Corridor, and those homes are now back in the ownership of Ruby West Florissant. And that's, you know, who would have thought that that's now my ownership. So now I'm moving back in that direction and creating programs now where I'm hiring youth again, and everything we've talked about. I think God is like, this is where you need to go back. Like, this is where this is my purpose. You know, to go back and touch those lives, to say, listen.
And isn't that funny how that happens? You get in the middle here, and you say, man, maybe I'm off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm crying a lot. You know, I'm stressed. I'm feeling out of place a little bit. Maybe I wasn't supposed to do that. And then you hang in there, and then the next level up comes. And you're like, but it's not linear. That's the challenge. You know, it's not. Purpose is not. Well, my purpose is to do this. Yeah. No, purpose is not linear like that. And it has, would you say that? Would you agree with that? It has a lot of different steps.
And that's what I was gonna say, because now I'm in a position where all that I've learned, all that I've done, now I'm in a position where it's people under me, other nonprofits, that I'm able to come in and say, this is what you need to do. This is how you do it. And I'm not telling you what I think, I'm telling you what I know, because it works. And I have the opportunity. So that's what you're saying, I'm on this level to now be able to come to build you up and transform not just this neighborhood, but this neighborhood. So yes.
And I used to be really challenged by that, because I would do something progressive but small, and it wouldn't flourish. And somebody would just co-opt my idea, and then I see the member like,
that was fine.
But that's the job.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
When I finally began to understand that's this particular job. You know, not everybody's job, but that's our job. Yes. You know, our job is to introduce it and walk away from it and watch other people.
Watch it grow. Yeah. Plant the seed and watch it grow.
And that's a tough one too.
But I love, but
I like it.
I'm so in my element now, because guess what? I'm behind the scenes.
For a minute. For a minute. You did a really good job of being in front of the scenes too, so we'll see. Yeah. And I know what you mean. I mean, I was behind the scenes for a long time, and this started out as just we need a space, and then I did a few things in the pulpit, and I just couldn't get comfortable. I wasn't feeling right. You know, we had some people that came the first couple of meetings, and this is what it evolved to. I think that we do it. We're going to wrap up in a minute, but I think we do a disservice when the only people get to hear from are people who are so in such a high authority you'll never see them. You know what I mean? So I just like to mind what's in our communities, or even what's in, you know, it may be other people that are in. That's kind of, I don't care if you're doing something progressive, if you're doing something to better humankind, and that's what I think one of my gifts is. Yes, is that I'm not. Of course, I'm pro. People call. I mean, I'm a pro. Exactly. But I also have the ability. I have the ability to move in and out of those lanes. And I think that's probably a natural ability. It is. So is there anything else that you want to share with? Oh man, I'm just so, I knew it. I mean, sometimes you just know. Sometimes you ask people, you say, well, I hope it works out. But sometimes you really, really know. And I was sitting there saying, okay, who, and before I could say who's next, you came to mind. So I'm so glad we got a chance to do this. I'm going to give you the last word. Let me see if I can find a question. If I was to ask you what you'd like to, you could see 30 days from now or 60 days from now, or even when you sat down, what would you like to be your legacy, or what would you like to be working? You could take either of those angles. You could say, well, in 60 days, I'd like to do this, or you could say, when I settle down, I'd like this to be my legacy.
I think I know that I want my legacy to be, as I stated,
Yeah, you said it.
that she continue and always fought, for change, for all. Like what we were saying, like just for mankind, just for people to see that there is good across the board, and everyone should have a fair treatment.
Well, thank you again, man. This has been amazing. So we'll go, thank you. We'll go to questions. Valerie, do you have any questions?
Yes, a couple of questions here. One, what high school did you attend? Afton. Oh, yeah, that was a change.
That was
Yeah.
change. Completely culture shock, yes.
And I asked that because you say you were part of the DSEC program, but you made a very valid point that in attending Afton, it took you out of your hood.
Totally.
And when I say it took you out of the hood, it took you out of the hood, not just physically, but mentally.
Right.
And so that was a learning thing. And a lot of times we are afraid to venture.
Yes,
We want to stick with what we know.
yes.
So we're afraid to venture out of that. So
Okay.
great job there and the encouragement to keep moving forward. Let's see, another question here. You mentioned about talking with young people, and a lot of times they tend to think that you just got in your current position. They never think about older adults that you grew up. They never think about how you grew up or anything. They just think, you don't know what I'm talking about. You didn't grow up like I did. How do you relate to them?
So what I didn't talk about is I actually, from parent communities to Riverview West Florissant, I went on to work. I ran an alternative school called Aid My Kids at Beaumont High School.
Okay.
And it was funny because that was initially, what they would say, and we would have assemblies. And when I first introduced myself to the students, these were trouble kids. These were kids that they were kicked out for fighting, drugs, what have you. So my job was to kind of get them on the right track. And I would meet with them, and back then I would say, Google me. If you want to know who I am, Google me or whatever. And so one of the kids was like, man, do y'all know our principal built the 4-9? Because the homes that I built were on Beacon, Alcott, and Davidson. And so they, we started talking, and they was like, nah, Miss Cousins ain't no joke. Like, Miss Cousins is the real deal. And I started kind of sharing with them, I was you. I was you as a kid, but I had opportunities and choices that I took different paths, and you could do it too. So I followed a lot of those children. I lost some, but I saved, some were saved, some, one of them a lot of them I followed on, some went to college, some are still, working. I still keep in communication with them to this day, and the parents, what have you. So yeah, that's how I was relating to them. And it wasn't just talk. I didn't talk the talk. I talked it, I walked it. I would go into the neighborhoods. I would go to their home, knock on the door, like what Nina said. I'm knocking on the door. Why you not at school? Let's go. Get up in here. What we doing here? Like, when the kids were walking through the door, I'm the first face they see. Right. Give me a look. Give me a hug. What's going on? You high? What you high for? We not doing this. I was that mother figure, but still focusing on what was important for them. So they hadn't experienced that in regular school, and that kind of changed the game for a lot of the students I was working with.
Wow, very true indeed. And thank you so much as you continue to do that.
Right, it's tough. Good job.
It is tough, but it's good for them to know.
Yes.
Look, I didn't just pop up in middle class.
I had to work to get to where I was. And a lot of them see that. A lot of your children, young adults see that you're in the space that you're in. And they like, ooh, I want to be like you. No, you got to work for where I am. You have to, I put in a lot to get to the space that I got to. I had to get a degree. I had, I had student loans like everybody else. None of this came. I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth once I was able to give the things I was able to give. So.
And you know, I think one of the challenges is not to look for results quickly.
Right.
Because you may never, ever hear from, you know, students.
That's right.
After you, I had a young lady that was from another country in my class, in the English class at St. Louis Community College. And she had graduated and everything, it's gone. And one day she looked me up and she said that I made her comfortable. She's from like Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
She said I made her comfortable walking in her feelings
Yes.
because they don't do feelings.
No.
So I want to, even though you can't track it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely sure you probably got 20 times as many.
Oh, they see,
adults
yeah,
that-
they'll find me.
Yeah, that's.
Because you remember me.
That's
Yeah, baby.
right, exactly.
One of my students, I have
That's
to tell this
beautiful.
story. Okay. This one just moved me. One of my students at an alternative school that I ran, I was somewhere and he was like, it's because you don't remember me. And I was like, your face looks familiar. Hardy, I could say his name. I said, your face, he's a grown man now. I said, your face looks familiar. Listen, y'all, he's in uniform.
Mm.
And I said, your face looks familiar. He said, I graduated from your program. He said, I'm a police officer.
Cause your husband, right?
I work for your husband. And I said, really? And he said, yes.
That's full circle.
4 years later, he was promoted to sergeant.
That's full circle.
So I know that I'm doing
Absolutely.
the work
Absolutely.
that I've been called to do.
And the tension helps you though.
Yes,
sometimes.
yes.
All right, all right.
We have a question
Right.
from
Oh,
the
okay.
Zoom audience here. What advice would you give, and you've talked on this off and on, but what advice would you give young adults who want to get out of survival mode and become more purpose focused?
You have to, the biggest thing that I've had to do is follow your gut. And really follow your mind, you know, get out of, I say this to myself a lot of times, and you have to say it to yourself, block the noise. You know, get away from the noise, because a lot of times the noise can get in your way of what you're really trying to do and wanting to do. So once you notice and recognize the noise, it's something that, like, I've had a lot of loss that made me understand, that kind of prepared me for a lot of things that I've been able to do. So what I mean by, you know, get out of the noise, like try to set that aside. It's a verse that always has stood with me and helped me, and that is be still sometimes, and just literally be still, be silent, and just listen to that inner voice, and that'll move you forward.
That's good. That's absolutely, that's my first one.
It helps you. It helped me through a lot.
Absolutely.
So
Awesome.
And I have to do that because I've never, I'm
you
like,
have to be still.
2000.
Yeah, when you all over, you just take a minute, and I had to do that. So I mean, sometimes I'm being honest. For me, I will go into a deep stage where I'm just at a dark space, and it's some just click, like stop.
Right. That's good.
Take a moment.
Yeah.
Assess the situation. Block it out. Focus on what you're here to do.
That's
And
good.
it'll get you.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
And then lastly, the other question was, and you've also spoke on this too, but I wanted her question to be read. How would you encourage young adults who grew up in the hood to see themselves differently than the negative stigmas that are said about them being born, raised in the hood?
Get out of it. Get out of the hood. What I mean, and let me tell you what I mean by that. Something that I've done, we talked about it, and I never thought I would be able to do it, but I was going on mission trips. Like, who would have thought I would be in Afghanistan, out in Albania? And I'm not saying you could do that, but I had the opportunity to be in spaces and places that I never imagined I would be in. And I had one of my I call him a little brother. He called me. Oh my God, this person, this question is excellent. He called me 2 days ago, and I'm gonna get emotional. And he's now in a space where a lot of people that he's around are millionaires. And he was homeless. He was homeless as a kid, as a young adult or whatever. So he has all of that. But he's in a whole different space right now. And he called me and he was like, I'm so lost because I'm in this space and why am I here? How am I here? And I'm used to being here. You know, I'm used to the hood. I'm used to this. Like, how do I balance this? Right. And I said, never forget who you are or what you are. And you, wherever you are, you still are representing us all, but still don't forget you. And he said, that's why I'm calling you, because I need that foundation and to stay grounded. I don't want to lose sight of who I am. I don't want to be in a position and in this space where I'm so caught up in this moment that I don't know who I am no longer. Never let the hood, you know, never be embarrassed about where you came from or what. I'll tell anybody, any day, I'm from Walnut Park, to the day I die, because Walnut Park built me, it made me, but it still can't consume me. So don't ever let that take, you know, can't nobody take where you from away from you, but it still can build you. You know, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really good question, because I have both too, but I just show up as Nina.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say it wrong, sometimes I come differently, but if I'm in the room with you, you're gonna get Nina.
Yeah, but it's hard for the young adults now. And one thing what I mean by that is some of our young adults are like what I used to do when I was at Care Communities is some of our kids have never been off Beacon. Right. Or all they know is that block. Mm-hmm. So I would take the kids on field trips when it was the Mississippi River, the flood came, and they had never seen it, or I would take them to Six Flags. Like I'm saying, expose them to, that's what I mean by get out. You know, see other things outside of what's just right in front of you. Have that other level of exposure. And that's what happens when I went, you know, to Afton, or when I went away to college in Warrensburg, because that's a whole different world.
Yeah,
that was a bird.
That's
that was
middle.
that's like but yeah, that's what I mean by
that. Awesome.
I think they didn't ask me, but I do want to respond to that, because for me, I think my biggest challenge was showing up as me.
Yes.
I understand there's protocols. I understand you got to do something different. But if I had to go in every room I've been in and not be me,
yep. That's what I
then it wouldn't have worked.
That's what I said to him. They love who you are.
And whatever I am, if I'm 90% Park Lane or Lee, and I'm 10%, I'm still supposed to be there.
Still me.
So I'm going to show up as me, which is sometimes good, sometimes not. But it is what it is. It's easier for me to stress it out.
Exactly.
So, you know.
But pretending to be something you're not.
Absolutely.
Don't ever do that. Yes.
I used to measure my speed. Oh, did I say that?
I got some point I don't even.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not.
Did you say that? Sure.
Because the value you bring has nothing to do so much with how you bring it, it's that you bring it. That's right. And I try to say, just show up as you. If you keep showing up as you, then the other stuff will fall in place. That's right. But if you have to practice every time you go in a room, that's right, then you're never gonna get it. So good job. Good job. Ooh, thank you. I think we're probably about ready to wrap up. Good stuff. You have to come back. Let's come back. Thank you guys for just giving us the opportunity to hopefully share and impart wisdom and gain wisdom. And to just say, make your life work. Yes. You have no options. You can't shut down. You can't quit with where you are and where you're going. So good night. Thank you.
That was a nice word today.
That's me.
Is that me? I was trying to get the voice.
That's me.
Hey, baby, how are you?
Hi.
I knew it would be.